Alright guys, we are back and we are going to look at if the new NSX is faster than your mama. Going 100. So is it actually faster than some of the other supercars out there? So first off, a lot of people haven't even seen what the engine of an NSX looks like. So come on over, let me show you a little bit about the inside of what a real NSX looks like inside out. This is the front. As you can see, there's a lot of components up here, like a lot, but it's really not where the engine is, but it gives you an idea, very similar to the older NSX in terms of the way it's set up. And again, if you come down here, we're gonna see the actual carbon fiber covered heart of the car, which is, you know, the inline six, but you kind of see it here. This was number 394 with a very small boot here to put excess stuff in, but very, very, very pretty to look at with the carbon pack. This was an option again. That you could get from the factory to have it carbon fiber or plastic. I think carbon really makes the car, especially with the glass patch that lets you see right through the car. So how fast is it? We're gonna go for a drive, we're gonna figure it out. But really quickly, I'll give you some background on the car. So the car has a 9-speed transmission. And while most people think, they're like, oh man, the 9-speed, I'm not a fan, what do you need so many gears for? It just works really well with the car. It's powered by an inline six with a twin turbo. But it's got 3 electric motors, 2 for the front wheels and then 1 for the rear transmission and the wheels. And what it does is it takes away all of the turbo lag. So it has a really unique feel when driving the car where you feel like you're driving a 911 turbo except without that lag and like with on-demand power through all the gears and a transmission that just shoots through gears so fast that you have 0 delay, better than any Huracan, better than any R8. I'm actually have become a huge fan of the 9-speed DCT that Acura put in this car because it just works for what it is. It's very precise, it works really well, and while yes, it makes it a little bit difficult to run paddles on your own instead of letting the DCT run itself, it does make it a little confusing because you have so many gears, but you got to think of it as you really only still have 6 gears, but you have 9 under full pressure because the car just understands ratios better than you would with paddles, because really no one's ever experienced a 9-speed transmission before, and it's just been a transmission that took a little bit of time getting used to, but it worked out really, really, really well, especially after a few attempts at launching the car and getting to understand the shift points on the car. And so let's go for a little drive. I'm going to give you a whole insight on the inside and some of the different modes in the car, which you're going to see how the car can go from quiet mode, where we barely even hear the car, all the way up to, you know, Sport and Sports Plus, but then also with the track mode, which still is safe to use even on the street. Truly an incredible machine. We're going to get to discover it again together in some of these, again, more upcoming videos. I wanted to give you the best inside look at the NSX than anyone's ever put out there because I just felt that so many of the reviews fell short, being that they were 15-20 minutes long of people just talking about performance, 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 and comparing the car rather than just allowing it to be what it is, which is really a taste of what the future of supercar technology will be in the next 10, in the next 5, in the next 15 years. Doesn't make a difference. A lot of the components that are in this car, a lot of the technologies that power this car and make it just work, even though it's not maybe as exciting as a Huracan or so on and so forth, just ends up working so well that I think a lot of these components are things you're going to soon see in a lot of future technology for a lot of manufacturers outside of Acura themselves. So guys, let's go and take a ride together. All right guys, so here we are inside the NSX, and some incredible, just amazing quick things to kind of point out is first how extremely comfortable the car is. On every angle, just the car itself is extremely cozy. I mean, the seats are very supportive. It's not as adjustable as you'd like it to, but they're very, very cushiony like a normal car. Very supportive. Your gauges, everything here. Now, you'll notice here a lot of plastic. Other than that, it's leather and suede covered everywhere. The only real problem here with the car is all this plastic everywhere. Outside of that though, some of the quick things you notice is the steering wheel has this really unique kind of shape with the square on top and then the round at the rest. And the feeling behind the steering wheel is second to none. There's never been a car I've ever been inside of that has had a better steering wheel in terms of grip and feeling when driving. Second to none, I tell you. That, in addition to the shifting pattern and the way your hands fit here and the way you hold these, just amazing. Now, I know people have complained a lot about the fact that these are plastic, but nonetheless, the positioning of it, flawless. You'll see the carbon option here with more carbon here, and really not a lot else other than that in terms of carbon. This has the two-tone with the seats, including the Alcantara, which follows all the way to the headliner, which gives it a little bit more of a luxury look. And honestly, I think the two-tone with Alcantara is a little bit better than the leather, but that's my personal opinion. You'll find a little bit of a storage bin back here, and you'll find, of course, your little glove box down here. Very small, but still some storage. Not a lot here, nothing to put at the bottom here on each side. Your climate control here just pretty much is all activated through this little touchscreen. The Acura touchscreen, I will say, is pretty crappy in general. It's very annoying to have to touch these things to raise the volume so you can use the steering wheel, but realistically, honestly, I think this interface could be better. It is somewhat useful or somewhat cool that it has like a little bit of a home screen, and you can see things like phone, nav, smartphone. You can even add widgets and apps and everything here. You have a browser as you want, so you can actually go here. You have browser, calculator, download, and everything else. No different than a little whatever iPhone, which is cool. Your engine stop button, and then the key to what controls the entire unit here, the dynamic mode here. So there's 3 modes to the car. The bottom one here that we're on is the quiet mode, so it's ultimately like a Prius. And then the other one here you go into is Sport, which is nothing more than a daily drivable mode, and then Sport Plus, which is your drive mode. With each of these, you'll notice that now the navigation and everything is red because it's in Sport Plus, versus if we go to Sport, which is green. So, I'm sorry, blue. So it gives you a little bit of a distinct thing that you're in each mode, which is somewhat cool. It also changes all the gauges here, just like the R8, based on what's happening. So if you go on Sport Plus, you have different controls and you have different things showing you different assist charges for the brakes and everything else. All of that here. You can also switch the middle unit, with different functions if you'd like. Your oil life, you can have it do a tire pressure, you can do it all the basic things you do on every other car, but it's cool that it keeps floating very fluidly, very quickly, in a very efficient little cluster here. It just looks really nice, and it's very easy to use. This, not so much. Now there is one other mode, like I was saying earlier, and it's the track mode. And when you do that, you hold this button for 2 seconds, and what happens is now it goes into track mode. And you see it tells you now you're in NSX, the NSX logo comes up, and it tries to minimize how many distractions you have on the road. Track mode is cool and allows you to launch and everything in between. But other than that, you have your heated seat option, then your little transmission, which is park, reverse, neutral, and then of course your drive, your handbrake, and that's about it. The simplistic approach to everything supercar, I think the way Acura has intended it to kind of function. Now to go to manual, you'll have to go to drive and then hit one more time and go to full manual so you can use your paddles. In general though, I think the car does a really, really good job at kind of connecting the driver to the experience, and not so much like, I think this is why this doesn't work, because it's overflow of technology in a car where you're trying to enjoy the road more so than anything else. The sound system, this has the premium sound, which is upgraded. It sounds pretty good. It's nothing that is memorable that you're going to remember for years, but nonetheless, I think this interior, as simple as it is, puts cars like the Lamborghini Huracan to shame with its very plastic-like, crappy interior. And on the other hand, is not as incredible as, let's say, an Audi R8, which I think has a much nicer and upper scale interior, or even my Vanquish, which is an interior that puts this to complete shame. So again, a very, very different type of car. We're gonna get a little bit of a drive to get a feeling for what we like or don't like about it, and in order to do that, we're gonna go into Sport. Well, we'll keep in a Sport Plus because it's just cool. And then you see here, even your reverse, you have your different modes. And it shows you here the floor itself, so that way you can see if you're about to hit something. So lots of usable kind of qualities this car has. It makes it very easy to drive on a daily basis, which I think was what Acura really intended by making it, to be usable, exotic. I don't know that so many people would use it. I think that one of the big mistakes manufacturers make is they think that people that buy these cars will use their cars on a daily basis, and most people would love to. The problem though becomes that with the excessive mileage, it just becomes such a bad investment. And so that's why it makes it very, very difficult to drive a car like this every day, because you're just going to be bleeding money as a result of doing so. And this leads me to kind of the conclusive point, and as we drive, we'll get a feel for if we love the car or not. But You know, one of the things that people ask me all the time, they're like, well, isn't the NSX going to depreciate? And, you know, realistically, that's a very good question because it's a brand new car. There's a lot of opportunity for the depreciation to still kick in. It is a limited production car. I mean, they're producing 8,000 Huracans in the next 3 years. And as of right now, they've produced about 1,000 NSXs. And we don't really know what's happening next year, if they're going to do a Spider model, if they're going to do variations, if they are indeed going to do an NSX-R. So there's so many things going on where we just don't know how or what Acura is going to do with the future of the NSX brand. Is it going to be a novelty? Is it coming back as kind of the platform similar to what Lexus did with the LFA? All of these things are kind of in the air, which makes it very hard to answer the question of, is it a good investment? I will say that for myself, I got 30,000 below MSRP, which makes it a lot better than taking a chance on a car brand new at MSRP. Dealers are offering 5,000 to 10,000 off MSRP. I was able to get 30,000 through back channel conversation through a few dealers. And so, you know, I feel like I'm in a pretty good place for the next 12 months. That said, I don't know that it'll be a great investment past the 12-month mark or a great investment if I rack up a ton of miles on it. What I will tell you is that it's been an incredible experience so far, and a little bit under 1,000 miles, I've really gotten to enjoy just the drive in itself. And really, the more I drive this car, the more I understand it, the more I appreciate its functionality. It isn't a Huracan, it isn't an R8, it isn't a 570S. It really has no business being in the same category as any of those three cars, because in its own right, it's an NSX. And what that means and what it's doing for the future of supercars, which I keep saying this is the future of supercar technology, is it's using technology to still create an incredible experience for the driver. And I think one of the biggest complaints I've always had about a car like a Tesla is not that it's not fast, but rather that it takes away the ability to enjoy the drive. In exchange, it just makes something go really fast and it puts someone in control of it. This gives you a very incredible experience. I mean, it sounds great at takeoff. In Sport Plus mode, it's very quiet when you need it to be. Now, what I would like to see on this car is a louder exhaust and a little bit more power in the mid-range, because the takeoff is brutal. The actual up top range is fantastic, but the mid-range from like 70 to 120 really isn't as strong as the competing cars in the 200K range, like the R8, V10 Plus, or the Huracan, which do a really good job continuing their power band all the way to the top. So, you know, I would say that with this car, it's going to be we're going to leave it to time to decide how incredible of a car it is. I will tell you that this is an important car based on the type of technology in it, as far as what the future of supercars is going to look like. And what's even more incredible is that a lot of the technology in this is what was found in the 918 Porsche in its own right. Not the same exact one. What I mean is that kind of led the way to what the future of supercars should be. Except that the 918 Porsche can't be had now for less than 1.6 million, and it started as a $900,000 product. I mean, this starts as a $150,000 product, and give or take some of these carbon fiber options that you don't have to have, for 150 grand, you have a car that essentially is a slower version of a 918 Porsche. And that's pretty incredible. And if you look at it that way, and you add the incredible design, the functionality, the drivability, and I think that Acura has done a tremendous job at bringing yet a very unique product that doesn't really fit into their line, but that is going to give way to the future of what first their own line is going to be no different than Lexus used the LFA for, but it's also going to give way to the future of what other manufacturers should step up for and strive to create with their own versions of the NSX under their own brands. So I hope you've kind of enjoyed this little walkthrough of what the inside of the NSX is. And I don't know if you can hear this, but really it gives you a good feel for that. You know, again, like it really goes, it's a lot faster than people set it out to be, and the launch control is very brutal. So giving you all that power again, it's a lot faster than most people who play with it, partially because most people who play with it, as I've always said, for a very short period of time and don't really get the gauge of how to make the car go fast. I think that's the biggest problem reviewers have with this car. And I think when you have a motor trend that comes in, and gives this like content car of the year, whatever, performance car of the year, it does so because it's spent time with the car and it's understood how to make it do what it needs to do to be that contender. And I think that's what really differentiates this car from others, is that while anybody can jump in an NSX and go really fast, anybody can control it with the all-wheel drive steering. You know, it's just amazing how easy to use it is, but it's not easy to master, and it does take a little bit of effort to get to learn how to push the car under what capacity and how to get it to be this incredible monster when you need it to be, and on the other hand, how to be extremely gentle and comfortable on a daily basis as you take it back and forth to work. So I hope you've enjoyed this this look at the NSX, and I'll catch you guys next time, and we'll have a little update in a little bit on more NSX stuff coming up.